Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're tuning in from. A huge big welcome to this webinar and special event. How applicable is that song? We'll get through it together. And there's so much happening in the world right now that we need to gather and support one another, and together we will get through it. So welcome to a webinar that today will inspire you to see that more is possible for your life. You're going to be listening to an amazing woman called Pearson. She lives in the States, in America. She is a mum of two, married to Gabe, an incredible guy. And what an inspirational couple they are. But they've had it tough. They've been through some big stuff in their lives. And the difference between them and 98% of the world is that they didn't quit. You may have heard the saying that 98% of the world, and this is actually a study that was done, 98% of the world will moan and groan and complain about their circumstances, but they'll do nothing to change it. They're sort of comfortably uncomfortable. Well, Jill and Gabe were uncomfortable in their life, and they made a decision to really pursue and find what it was that could give them the best life. So friends, my name is Charlotte Venter. I am originally from South Africa. I'm a very proud Aussie. I've been a citizen now for almost 18 years. I love this country. We immigrated with my hubby, almost married for 30 years now, Andre, and our two amazing children, Brandon, who's 28, and Robin, 25. We live on the Sunshine Coast on 6 acres. We have mum and dad, my husband's mum and dad, who live with us. We have goats, and we used to have chooks. We have cats, and we have just a lot of fun family things, because family for us is priority. In fact, for my husband and I both, we are very passionate about living our one life to the full. So you may think, where is she now? This doesn't look like an office. Well, no, it's not, but it sort of is, and it has been my office for the past 8 months, because 8 months ago, my hubby and I decided that we're going to travel around Australia. So we went and bought a big car and a big caravan, and we've been on the road since then. And right now we are in WA, close to Perth, having a really great time as we explore this nation, get to meet new people, and also as I continue to work in my business. So my story is one that I think many of you can relate with, or can relate to. I, in 2015, December 2015, was in a place where I felt like my husband and I had worked so hard in our lives. We've been generous people. We've been loyal. We've helped where we could. We certainly did the best we could to be the best parents for our children, the best children for our parents. And yet we found that even after all of our attempts, everything we had done, we were in a position where financially things were challenging for us. We had taken his mum and dad in and cared for them, and that's been 10 years now of looking after them. We had my husband working full-time, and actually he was on a contract which gave us a great income, and then he had to go full-time or he lost his job, which meant 40% less income almost overnight. Just one thing after the other. And when we sat in December 2015 and assessed our lives, we thought, oh my gosh, what is going to happen? How are we going to retire? This is going to be at least another 20 years of working. We're going to be like 70 by the time we retire. And then will we even be able to uphold the lifestyle that we had and retire and do the stuff that we wanted to do, like travel? And my husband loves fishing, and I love succulents. Anybody here a succulent fan? Put one in the chat if that's you. But I love gardening. It's my sort of release, right? And so we just didn't know what to do. We were like, what the heck is happening in our lives? We just couldn't believe that we were in this position where we were purely surviving. My husband, the more I looked at him, the more I saw depression. I saw this man actually become really miserable and somebody we didn't even want to be with. You know, in the Friday, he'd be a bit of a nicer guy. On Saturday morning, he'd be okay. But by Sunday afternoon, he'd be moody, miserable, and turn into this guy again that for the rest of the week, we barely saw. He left in the morning when it was dark. He got home in the afternoon or at night when it was dark, and we barely saw him. And, you know, when I looked at him, I thought, that's not a life that you deserve. It's not a life that we deserve as your family. And something has to happen. I had worked for corporate companies. I had had my own conventional businesses, and nothing gave us that break. And thankfully, a friend of mine said to me 8 years ago, Charlotte, have you ever considered network marketing? And I said, no, look, I don't really even know what it is, but I won't do it. And she said to me, why? And I said, well, just because I just won't do it. And she went on and on and on. And for 6 months, she kept inviting me. And she said, please just come to one event. Please just come to one event. And eventually I said to her, I'll go if you promise to never ask me again, because you really are annoying. And so I went along. I went to an event in Brisbane. I can clearly see it in front of my eyes now. And I was the person sitting there with my arms crossed thinking, I wish this day was just over. I just want to leave, get home. I've got stuff to do. But the longer the day progressed, the more I started seeing that this is actually something I want to do. And this could be something that potentially gives us the freedom and time and the income that's unlimited that we want. And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to go home. I'm not going to say too much to her and get her too excited, but I'm going to go home and I'm going to research, because I'm not going to take on other people's opinions on stuff. I'm going to just research for myself. So I did. I researched and I was flabbergasted when I saw Sir Richard Branson. He's one of my idols. I've read all his books. He says, my next business will be a network marketing company. I endorse it. I think it's the business of the 21st century. I thought, what? Surely if he's saying this, then it's got to be good. And the more I researched, the more I found people like Warren Buffett, one of the richest, wealthiest, and reputable, honest, great guys in the world. I found women like Erin Brockovich saying, yes, I want to be involved in a company that's network marketing. And so I jumped in. I started learning. And it was like, honestly, I went to a university and I started my degree. And I just learned and learned and learned. I knew nothing. I didn't have a big database of people. I was an immigrant with no family here, no school friends, but I was hungry to change my life. And within about 6 months, I won my first trip overseas. I was earning around $2,500 a week, which was great. But then my daughter had an accident. She broke her back. She fell off a ladder. And thankfully, she survived it. But she broke 2 vertebrae. And then she got pressure on her brain. So for 3 months, I was in and out of hospital with her. My husband at that stage was working in Saudi Arabia. You know, another story, we barely ever saw him. He was home like 3 weeks in a whole year. And I was navigating this child that couldn't even move. I had to do everything for her, so I couldn't touch my business. 3 months later, when she was a bit more stable and I could just quickly pop in and look at my business, I saw it drop by 40%. And I thought, what the heck? Like, network marketing is meant to be the kind of business that just keeps going if you don't work it. And friends, at that stage, I learned the importance of having the right company, the right product, because that equals retention. That equals people buying your product again and again. And when they buy it again, you can get paid again. And there lies the lifetime freedom. There lies the travel around Australia for 8 or 12 months and not be bogged down having to work Monday to Friday. And so I made a decision to go and look for the right company. I had learned so much in my business, 20 years of business history, of what I needed to find. I made a list, what I needed for the product, for the company, for the way we get paid, for is the market saturated, is it not? And I went looking. January 2016, I printed out the top 100 company list, looked at them one by one. About 2 weeks in, started looking at this one. And 4 months later, after 4 months of due diligence, I said yes. And I started with my first goal to retire my husband. And this picture on your screen on the left-hand side was his last day in his office. He wore this ridiculous big construction orange hat, and he did like a 14-day countdown to leaving work. And you can just see the joy on his face. Like the last day he had one on there, half day he went and made a half, and then for the last few hours he did a quarter. And the guys in the office were like, oh, you are so annoying, how can this happen to you? But I tell you what, you're going to be back. We know you're going to be back, because that stuff, it doesn't last. That business your wife is doing, that doesn't last. Well, it's now been 3 years of him being in retirement, and there is no way he has to go back. My business, in fact, has doubled since he's left work. And boy, oh boy, are those guys now saying, we wish we had done it too. In the past 5.5 years that I've been with this company, my family has traveled all over the world. We have done incredible stuff. We have managed to help our children set up solid businesses for them. And my husband and I are financially so secure. We have been able to pay off debt and do the things now that we've wanted to do all of our lives, and truly enjoy our last days. You know, there's a statistic in Australia that says the average person in Australia, and this is recent, I've just found this not long ago, the average person retires at 65. The average person gets diagnosed with a bad illness at 73. That's 8 years of joy, freedom, do what you want to do. And then they say the average death is at 82. What life is that? Why would you want to work for 40 years of your life or even longer on somebody else's dream when there are opportunities for you to build your own dream? Now, for some people, that's what they want to do. And hey, we shake your hands. We absolutely love that you are in your job and that you're happy, and that's wonderful for you. But what I've noticed is when I have a look in the morning early, if I go for a walk and I look at the faces of the people driving to work, I don't see many people smiling. I see people surviving, and your life is too short to merely survive. And so I want to really, really suggest to you today to open your heart, open your ears, and listen to what Jill Pearson has to say as she shares her story about how her and her husband went through an absolute crisis in their life, also looking at where are we going to go? What are we going to do? What's next? How are we going to ever get through what we want to get to in our lives? How's that going to happen? And friends, I'm going to share with you, I actually did this with her this morning because Jill is in the States, so the time zone is a little bit different. But I'm going to share with you just the conversation that Jill and I had this morning. Now, this amazing lady is what we call in our business a Pro 10, a Master Pro 10. Now, Master Pro 10s are earning roughly $130,000, not a year, a month. When you get to know Jill Pearson, she's a great friend of mine, you will know that this lady is an introvert. She is extremely shy. She really, really, really only talks to people one-on-one. But she is so passionate about really making a difference and making sure that her life counts, and at the same time giving her family the best life ever. You see, one woman can change the future of her family, her immediate family, her extended family, and a whole community. One woman. I believe I've done that. I believe by saying yes and getting to learn and being humble and learning and learning and learning and being so bad at it at the start, but not quitting and just learning and learning, as we have a product that is being called the biggest breakthrough in medical history. So this is a product that every single person must have in their body. It reduces the biggest condition in all of our bodies that leads to disease. When we share this product, we know we can't congruent. We know we're helping people. We know we're making a difference. And at the same time, you're helping your family. You see, when I put my head down on a pillow one day and it's my last breath, I want to be sure that my life is counted. And because I said yes and I got uncomfortable and I learned, I have changed my and my husband's life. I've changed my children's lives. I've changed my grandchildren's lives. And potentially, I could even say that some people on this call, their lives have been impacted because I've said yes. And that's what's in your hand today. And it merely is a decision. It's either this is for you or it's not. And it's okay if it's not. I'm just really happy that you're here and you're going to take a look. So let's listen to the amazing Jill Pearson. And if you have any questions, pop them up in the chat and I'll answer them for you at the end. Thank you, guys.
Well, Charlotte, you are just an incredible individual, incredible businesswoman. I just so admire you. You have built a global business with millions in annual sales. You are just such a heartfelt leader as well. And I'm so thankful. Years ago, about 3 years ago, I believe, I was invited to join her team. And ever since then, I've been so connected. I love Australia. I love what you all do, and just so honored to be with each and every one of you. And for the guest on the line, thank you for being here. You know, being open-minded enough to join us, because years ago, 12 years ago, I was not so open-minded. But first, I want to share a little story. My girlfriend, Marlene, my best girlfriend, we went on a girls' trip a few weeks ago out to Nashville, up to Nashville, Tennessee in the United States. It's the country music capital of the world, I believe. And as we were going through the shops, looking at the unique shops, she picked up a little book for me. She just as a little gift. And it was a story about the meaning of life. And you know, I threw it in my travel bag, never to be seen again, until I just went to Salt Lake City, Utah, on a business trip. And on the airplane, the internet was down. There was no entertainment whatsoever. So I said, oh, I think I have that book in there. And I started rummaging through there, and I opened it up and I started to read. And behold, on the pages about the meaning of life, I thought of all of you, all my Australian beautiful people, especially those accents. I love your accents. And I thought to myself, oh, I want to share this. It was on my heart to share probably two of the main themes of the book. You know, and my girlfriend, she got me the book because I always talk about this. What's our purpose? What's our purpose, Marlene? And I wrote down, why am I here? So ask yourself that right now. Why am I here? And am I fulfilled? You know, they're like universal questions most of us ask ourselves. And I know it's a little deep, you know, for an opportunity meeting, but I just wanted to throw it out there, and it was on my heart to share that. But keep that with you this entire brief time we have together. I'll rewind again to when I was a military brat. My dad was in the United States Navy, and we retired in a little city called Daytona Beach, Florida, kind of midway down that peninsula on the East Coast. And I grew up there, and I love the beach. I love the sea. I went to a state university, Florida State University, and I got out and I started to work at a bank in their corporate communications department. And I made what I consider probably boring training videos for bankers. But it was a lovely experience, and I learned how to write, to communicate a little bit better, and to project manage. Soon in those late 80s, the bank started to merge, and I lost my job. I was let go, and I started to work for the electric company, doing the very same thing. And that's when I was about 30 years old, I started asking those questions like, what am I doing here? Is this really what I want to do? And at that time, my husband and I both needed to work to pay our mortgage. Now that I realize, we were trading time for money, but that's what we were told to do, go to school for real, get our degrees and go to school. And, but I didn't really understand that concept. And my husband, Gabe, wanted to have children. And I think I was a little scared because I didn't want to go to work. I knew that it would be overwhelming and it would be a lot for me to leave a child or children. So we decided, though, to go ahead and have my daughter, Natalie. We had Natalie, beautiful daughter, and I still had to clock in at 7 a.m., drive downtown, and then I didn't get home till 4, and I got home just in time to put her to bed, to feed her and put her into bed. So what we did is we combined my corporate communication skills with my husband, who was in the fitness industry. We call him the gym guy. So we got video gal and gym guy, and he would personally train people. We began to own gyms, operate gyms, and he was one of the best in our city at that point. So we combined those skills and created a beautiful company. Where what we did is we took executive teams, brought them together, and with strength training, cardiovascular training, great nutrition and rest. And in 84 days, we would take these executives and get them in the best shape of their lives. And it was amazing. We had amazing results. We had amazing clients. We still had all those moving parts of a small business. So do any of you have a small business? You have all the moving parts, right? You've got IT, you have legal, human resources, sales and marketing. The list, I think, probably never ends. I had 18 employees and a couple admins by the time our business matured. And then in 2008, 2009, we got these phone calls saying they no longer could use our services because they needed to save jobs. And in literally 30 days, we lost 3 six-figure contracts, like 300,000 in our cash revenue, cash. And so our cash model was nothing. We had no cash to operate. So we quickly tried to contract the business. I still had all the moving parts. By now, I have a 6-year-old and a 9-year-old I'm juggling. And trying to figure out how I'm going to keep the mortgage, keep food on the table. And I know that was a moment in my life, and it was challenging. And I know some of you may even be dealing with bigger hurdles and challenges right now, maybe a sick one, a loved one. And so this was my challenge at that moment. And I'll never forget, I went into my master bedroom closet, and I'd never done this before, and I curled up in a little ball and I prayed for answers. My husband was really strong, and he's AAA personality, and we flew up to Atlanta, Georgia to retool. He had a speech on stage on how to turn your body into a fat burning machine. And a stranger to us named Susanna came up after his speech and asked us if we'd ever heard of a product called Protandem, that an investigative report was done, and it's called ABC Primetime had done an investigative report. And we hadn't, and we're in that field. We're in that space of good nutrition, supplementation. But my husband, Gabe, never really truly believed in a lot of supplementation. He thought good nutrition was key to your health, and nothing is more important than your health. That was our slogan. So we went home, and, I could smell network marketing. I could sense Gabe was on the phone talking with enthusiasm about that ABC Primetime piece. He says, Jill, you have to get a babysitter and you have to come to this meeting. But before you do, you need to watch this ABC Primetime investigative report. He dragged me out there to that meeting that day. But I want you all to think about where you're sitting right now. Are you guys praying like I was for answers? A lot of challenges right now. health challenges, financial challenges, a lot of time constraints. So I was praying, yet I was kicking and screaming and closed. I was really closed-minded and small thinker, right? So he dragged me, and on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, this guy named Burke laid out a vision for us of what our lives could look like. What our lives could look like in, 36 months, 48 months. And what I saw, two things went off in my head. It was interesting, not anything about that product, right? Nothing about that. My business hat went on, and I thought, wow, there's an opportunity for me to share in 4% of global sales. Wow, that's powerful, because you got to understand, I was running the back end of our company. I was seeing the lack of cash flow. I was paying the bills. I was managing all the kids, and how are we going to feed them? How are we going to pay that mortgage? And I was praying. And then I thought, a little seed came in there, and I thought to myself, I think I can do this. I think I can do this. Then I saw something special that day. And I saw something special that day. And I even see more clearly today. Number one, I remember our mentor, time was a big deal. We had our business that was collapsing. We were working 12, 15 hours a day. And one of our concerns was time. How can we do this? And I'll never forget, my husband and I never forget, is he says, what's going to change? What are you doing to change this? And it woke us up. And he went through our calendar hour by hour on where we could have an opportunity to build 1 hour a day, 30 minutes a day. And then he also said, he talked about being consistent, being coachable, and plugging into the system. And those were key to our success. We already had an ownership mindset because we owned our own business, and that's critical. We own our own business. Then they told us to go to our first training. So we didn't have the cash flow, but somehow it came, we were able to provide. And we flew out to Salt Lake City, Utah, and up on stage, out comes this world-renowned scientist. World-renowned scientist. He has gray hair. He has a gray tweed jacket on and gray slacks, really thin in nature. And they introduce him as basically the father of free radical biology. This gentleman has changed mankind with his discovery of free radicals and an enzyme, a good guy called SOD. He's in the company of Ford, Orville Wright, to just name a couple. He begins to talk about how we age, how we disease, cellular aging, oxidative stress, terms I had never been familiar with. So he starts off as when we were babies. We're not aging, we're just growing, and we have all these good enzymes. One of them being that enzyme he discovered, SOD, superoxide dismutase. Now don't shut down, it's just a good guy. And then he talks about as we age, or just not age, just live, how we breathe and how we eat and exercise, how we're exposed to toxins. These all produce basically like trash, right? That basically are free radicals. And so we start accumulating more and more of these free radicals. But when we're up to 20 years old, we have so many good guys in our body that neutralize the bad guys. We're kind of like this. We're even Steven. It's good news, right? But as we age, as we get to 30, 40, 50, right? That disparity, excuse me, I'm in reverse, right? The enzymes start going down and the bad guys are really staying there. It's just our enzymes are misfiring. The switches aren't flipping like they used to, right? The enzymes, SOD. So this disparity right here is called cellular stress, oxidative stress. The bad guys right here. I brought an apple. Look, this is like the bad guys in our body, the browning, the oxidation, that's oxidation. That's what our insides look like. If you wanted to use an analogy. Or, I'm from Daytona Beach, Florida, and I used to drive my old blue Toyota Corolla on the beach every day, and it would rust. So think of our bodies rusting on the inside. Or think of a big fire, right? Our bodies are like the fire inside. So what can we do to squelch that fire, to reduce the browning, to get rid of the rusting? Well, we used to eat really good we used to eat good food, right? That's what we taught. Gabe and I had always believed in amazing nutrition to get rid of the bad guys. And amazing and good nutrition is key to your health. But it doesn't help this problem of those enzymes starting to misfire, right? It simply fights those bad guys, those free radicals. It simply fights. Think about the marketing you hear. It says fight free radicals, not reduce. So blueberries, we eat one blueberry, it gets rid of one bad guy. Eat a strawberry, one gets rid of one bad guy. Just the molecules. Pomegranate juice. I used to think onions, right? Garlic, all those things are great nutrition, but do very little for this disparity. And until I learned from this amazing doctor who was on stage that until then, there was nothing to reduce this free radical damage until he created this golden little activator. And at the time we called it Protanda, but now we call it, that's an umbrella name, and we call it a NRF2 activator. So what he continued up on stage, he continued to educate me about in the audience on when we take this golden yellow activator, it enters our body and it activates a pathway called NRF2. And I often think of like a Nerf football, right? It's spelled differently though, but that's a short name for a really long word. So think of Nerf football. So the NRF2 pathway knocks on the cell wall and says, hey, you wake up and you do what you were supposed to do. Like when you were a kid, make more good guys. And so when it does that, in just 2 weeks, it reduces those bad guys by 40% in 30 days. This is profound. The FDA, my government, the United States government allows me to say, by taking this little golden activator, we can reduce free radicals, the bad guys, by 40% in 30 days. When I heard this and I understood the enormity, I'll never forget, I ran out of the auditorium and I called my mother and I said, hey, you've got to take this. This is so huge. So what does it mean to your body when you squelch that fire inside? Instead of putting a Dixie cup full of water on that fire inside your body, you're actually putting on that sprinkler system. what does that mean in terms of your organs and your everything, right? Your skin, your heart, your liver, your kidneys. What does that mean? It's profound. So what we did, we were in that wellness space. And at the time, one of our clients was one of the major hospitals in Jacksonville, Florida, called the Mayo Clinic. And we were working with them. We had a lot of big clients, so our reputation was at stake. So we went to them and we said, hey, how do we know this is the real deal? We're thinking about building a business off this golden yellow pill. And they said, well, if there's a study on pubmed.gov, that's pub.gov, type in Protandim, you're onto something, not an ingredient, but actually on the product. You're onto something. And so we typed it in, and there were two profound studies. Number one was that it reduces cellular stress by 40% in 30 days by upregulating SOD, another enzyme called catalase. And the third one, the master regulator, antioxidant, the most important regulator for our immune system, glutathione. Isn't that important, especially right now? So the other study, which is just as significant, is it talks about the synergistic effects of the ingredients, because you're like, what are the ingredients, Jill? What are the ingredients? They're green tea, turmeric, ashwagandha, bacopa, and milk thistle. You're like, well, I got this. I already take turmeric for inflammation. I already drink my green tea. But what's so fascinating is that study talks about the synergistic effects, which means think about like when you make cookies. Do you ever make cookies? And you have the flour, the sugar, the butter, the chocolate chips. Individually, they mean very little. They might not even taste that great, but when you bring them together, they make this incredible chocolate chip cookie. And the same is true with this little yellow activator. When you combine them, it takes and upregulates it 1,800-fold. So powerful. And so we saw that. And my husband says to me, Jill, before we even validated, he said, if we could validate it, which we did, this is going to be huge for our family. And at the time, we needed to eat, but my husband was focused on keeping the children in private school. He was devastated and embarrassed to have to pull them out. So that was his main focus, was to make $2,200 a month. And, we didn't know really what we were doing. It was a new business model, for us. But the company behind the product is incredible. It started in 2003 in the retail space. And a bunch of doctors were on the board, and they've created this amazing product, and they're advertising in magazines. They're selling it in our GNC stores, our supplement stores at the time. The ABC primetime airs, the stock goes through the roof. It's a publicly traded company. At the time, it was a penny stock, but it was a commercial that ran one time. Right before 2009, a consultant came in and says, hey, that ABC primetime aired in 2005. Stock went through the roof. It was a one-time commercial. And then sales went flat again. A consultant eventually came in around 2008 and said, this is an easy fix. This needs to go word of mouth marketing. And they were like, no way, we don't want this to go into network marketing. They had some preconceived notions of what network marketing was. Had some stigma attached to it. Maybe you feel the same way. I felt the same way. I didn't want anything to do with it. Yet I was praying, right? So, but as a last ditch effort, they flipped the switch as it was in the retail space, they flipped the switch to network marketing. Including Gabe and I, there was a team of leaders that ran so hard to educate the world on this profound science of nutrigenomics, of flipping switches to get our genes to do what they were meant to do when we were younger. A new paradigm in health, no competition, a video, basically a third-party commercial to build our businesses, an ownership mindset of consistency, integrity, character, a foundation of lifting us, each one of us up as one company, as one life vantage, and we saved the company. And we've changed, we've impacted thousands upon thousands of lives. What's our purpose? What's your purpose? You know, this company, you know, you go, well, Jill, you know, you've been in it 12 years. You took a ride. I'm too late to the game. You know, I'm just hearing about it today, 12 years later. But let me be honest with you. Our teams, all of LifeVantage, is looking for folks who are looking to make a difference, to have that purpose, to impact lives. Someone who wants something different, who's hearing the whispers of change, of something different. And we all collectively, we want, we need, we desire, we want to impact more lives and take this incredible company to 500 million and then to 1 billion. Do you know what that means for each one of us? That we've all impacted a ton of lives, helping them with their health as well as their finances. Now think about it. I want you to put your business hat on again. We have an incredible product. Check. If you're opening up any business, these are important. We've got a company that is full of love and passion, is a publicly traded company now on the NASDAQ, has 25 million in the bank, is stable now, is opening its 27th country today, the Philippines, is on a road to global expansion to really, truly impact lives. The next piece would be, are we in the right place at the right time? In terms of trends, right? Are we in the cell phone business or the beeper business? Or the payphone business, excuse me. So like payphones or beepers, no. Never before, think about this, has health and wellness probably been more significant, more important. And lives are being challenged, disturbed, challenged, disturbed, and there's one other word, disrupted. I like the word disrupted right now. And we have a vehicle, and it may not be for you, but you have been given a gift right now, a gift of hope in terms of health, improving health, and improving finances. That day I had run out to call my mom, and then we went to work. We worked really hard for a couple of years. It's like an airplane taking off. It takes a lot of energy in the beginning to build a solid big business. Think about any business though, same, right? You got to put a lot of energy to get a business off the ground. But I built it. And then my mother, she ended up getting sick. And the beautiful piece of this is that I was able to be with her and be by her side until she passed, because I had built leveraged income. I had no longer had to trade time for money like I did at the bank or the electric company or my husband at the gym. I worked to build a leveraged income with a network of beautiful customers and beautiful distributors, a network around the globe. So what I am is an independent business owner that is built to network. I just do what I'm doing right now, just sharing stories and connecting beautiful, like-minded people, like your beautiful Australian families and people around the globe if you're also joining us tonight. But also, you talk about the compensation plan. We have to check that piece. And I would challenge you that we have one of the best compensation plans in the industry, and that this is a beautiful way to create leveraged income. And I tell my kids, I say, listen, this business may not be for you, but figure out how to build an asset coming out of the gates, coming out of college or university. Figure out a way to build leveraged income coming out of the gates, because life is going to happen to us. And this way we can be with our parents when they're sick, or our friends and family. I'm going to end tonight. I hope I haven't missed anything on my notes. But this was a pivotal moment, because when I started this journey, I didn't understand the industry. I didn't understand what I was doing. I finally understood the magnitude of the product. I did have to plug into training and learn to be a professional in this industry, but it's simple. The hard part is being consistent, and showing up and being coachable and plugging into that system of training. But I'll never forget, my husband and a woman named Donna were dear friends, and she was a news anchor in the city that we live in, Jacksonville, Florida. And they had grown up together, and she became a very big news anchor in our city. And she had challenges with her health. She was a 3-time breast cancer survivor. And she had seen that original ABC primetime investigative report. And this information was very, very important to her, as well as in terms of her health. She actually ended up, she bought it in the retail space. And then eventually she realized it had gone through to a network situation, it had gone into network marketing. And my husband approached her to be a distributor. Well, she got started, but didn't do anything. So some of you may be watching and saying, I haven't done anything with my business. But again, that 2009 crisis hit the United States. Her boss said, Donna, you can't go home to be with your children. You can't be with your children at dinner anymore. We need you. We've had to pare down our staff. We don't have any advertising revenue right now. And she says, I'm sorry, I'm not going to give that time up. That's the only time I spend with my children, dinner time. She goes, I'm going to give you my resignation right now. They go, oh, no, because she was a big time anchor. In addition to her being an anchor, she also started one of the biggest marathons in Jacksonville, Florida, called 26.2 with Donna. And the proceeds from that go to research and also to help breast cancer survivors in paying their bills as they go through treatments. Survivors and those who are fighting right now, to help with those bills. So just an incredible woman is the bottom line on that. So she called my husband Gabe and says, I'm ready to do this. I think she maybe had psychic damage, or a little embarrassed about the business model, which has turned out to be such a solid and beautiful business model at LifeVantage. So we went to work. They grew.
Oh no. We want to hear the end of that story, right? Let's try again. I know this video is perfect to the end because I watched the whole thing today, earlier today. So let's give it another shot. But guys, how beautiful is Jill? You can see she's just a real genuine woman. And I can so relate, you know, for me personally, I didn't know what I was doing. I'm a mum, I'm a wife, I'm just a really ordinary, you know, woman. I didn't have all the skills or the background or the network to make this successful. But I just really wanted a difference for my life. I wanted my life to count. I wanted more for me and my family. And, you know, that's why I said yes. And with all of that, you know, just I learned and just I stayed coachable and did whatever I needed to do. And today, the success that I have is enormous. You know, I started at the beginning, I started basically with 3 of my girlfriends, and that grew to being today almost 30,000 people. Isn't that phenomenal? Almost 30,000 people. And, you know, we have impacted the lives of so many and so many more to come. And it's just because one person has said yes. For me personally, I'm now earning monthly, I would be earning more than a brain surgeon. You know, roughly, you know, most months it's more actually, but roughly around the 50,000 mark per month. And honestly, I'm only just getting started. Today we're launching, we've just opened a new market in the Philippines, and you know, we're busy doing an amazing business there. So we are just starting, and you have the ability to join us on that. So I'll see if we can shoot back to Jill quickly if that's going to work, and then I'll come back to you. Thank
Her
you.
boss said, Donna, you can't go home to be with. Oh, no, because she was a big time anchor. In addition to her being an anchor, she also started one of the biggest marathons in Jacksonville, Florida, called 26.2 with Donna. And the proceeds from that go to research and also to help breast cancer survivors in paying their bills as they go through treatments. Survivors and those who are fighting right now, you know, to help with those bills. So just an incredible woman is the bottom line on that. So she called my husband Gabe and says, I'm ready to do this. I think she maybe was had psychic damage or a little embarrassed about the business model, which has turned out to be such a solid and beautiful business model at LifeVantage. So we went to work. They grinded, they worked hard in the morning until she had to go to the news desk at 2. So if there's a will, there's a way. You just have to be super scheduled about it. Within 11 months, she was able to she had a choice to put her resignation in to the news desk, and she never looked back. Today, she's a LifeVantage distributor. She runs her marathon, her 26.2 with Donna, as well as her charities, and continues to give back to the community and so many around the globe. Now that's purpose. That's purpose, true purpose. And this was a vehicle to make that happen, to give her, to release her from the work that was no longer fulfilling, that did not give her the ability to be with her children, her family. And one of the most beautiful and poignant parts of that story is she was able to be with her son, Drew, his senior year of his high school, and to go and watch every single baseball game his senior year. That was when I realized, and this is powerful for me, and I hope you feel it. This for me was pivotal in my business, that I realized the impact each one of us, I realized the impact we each can have on so many lives. Look. So from that moment on, my mission, my passion, my purpose is to connect with each and every one of you, to break through my fears, to stand up tall in this industry, to work on myself to be the best version of I can, so I can share with you my passion, my vision, and my purpose. Why are we here if not to impact lives, our friends and family, and our business acquaintances? So with that, I thank you for your time. I'm honored to be with each and every one of you. And Charlotte, thank you for having me. I can't wait till I can visit you. Take care. Thank you, everyone. Now go be the exception and connect and make an impact. Take care, everyone.
Awesome. Isn't she an amazing lady? So we did that this morning, and I tell you that she inspires me so much. And I hope that you are inspired, because you truly have a decision to make. Today, make the decision on, are you going to continue with life the way it has been? And if everything's hunky-dory, it's wonderful. But if it's not, if you're feeling that there's more to life, and you really do want to live a different life and not miss out on stuff and have no regrets as you get older, then I really want to ask you, go speak to the person who invited you to watch this video or be on this live recording, and just find out more. Listen and have a look at what it is. It is legitimate, it is strong, it is a NASDAQ traded company, we publicly traded, and our product has been mentioned by universities as being one of the biggest breakthroughs in the world. It has been named to be the only product that extends life and extends health. It has been named to be the gateway to good health. So many accolades. Please go and have a look. Thank you so much for being on here today. We so appreciate you. And hey, you deserve to live your best life. So go and chase that. Thank you, guys.